I'm gonna see if I'm gonna tell my wife, give me something sugary sweet. See, she gonna think, uh-oh.
Yeah. Are you taping, baby? Baby, are you taping? Oh, yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Baby, give me home.
What's up, America? One more again, everyone's. Welcome to Names Are Not Important. I am Mac, and he is free. What's going on, my good brother?
What's going on, baby? Just ready to do what we do, man, and get it crack-a-lating. Let's go.
Yeah, we gotta get it crackling and get the debating going on. There's a lot to be said about what's going on in this new climate these days, man. It's y'all cousin has been tripping, but let's get right on into it, man. Because as we all know by now, Donald Trump has performed his comedy show live at the BOK Center on June the 20th. So if you wasn't there for all the laughs, congratulations, because it wasn't nothing funny. Now, although the original date for this was on Juneteenth, it was moved up today because the optics of the potential hate-filled rhetoric on the day that slaves were freed in the location of one of the largest massacres of the most affluent, one of the most affluent black communities in American history, which was Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street area, Greenfield.
Greenwood.
Greenwood, my apologies. I'm thinking about Greenfield Homes in Greensboro. My bad. But now conservatives would like for you to think that that type of rhetoric wouldn't be in their MO. But we heard more of the same in an inflamed racial environment amidst a viral pandemic. Now, there were tweets sent out by his campaign manager about how they had gotten like more than 1 million registrations for this rally, and as it turns out, they were just punked by K-pop fans who deliberately registered for tickets without any plans to attend. Now, this led the campaign to set up an overflow outside the venue just simply to welcome 6,200 patrons in a location that carried 19,000. Now, that ended up leading them to shutting down the outside venue early. So now, when you consider all that was at stake, free, you had you got COVID-19, and you got this very inflamed racial tension in the background of everything, and you got Oklahoma's COVID rates rising. Dog, was it even worth it for them to even do this? Like, I'm not sure why
Well,
Tulsa still did it.
well,
Your thoughts?
obviously, from the results of everything, it wasn't, and not even trying to take a shot, but I think the people of Tulsa understand, or let's say Oklahoma as a whole, I think the majority, whether pranked or not, I think the majority felt that their health and safety was a little more important, whether you support who you support. But I think in this time where you're in the middle of a state that's still rising, you want people to be smart. So I'm thankful that the citizens of Oklahoma put their health ahead of anything else at this time. Now,
But did they? Because
when
6,200 people still showed up.
yeah, but they, like I said, they were still expecting 1 million and overflow, and they had everything set up. So, whether they were pranked or not, we know they were, but still, with what they were expecting, I think, and now I'm gonna be real with you. I think they probably lost about a good 4 or 5 thousand when they found out several staffers came down or tested positive for it.
Mm-hmm.
When the people who are there setting up everything and doing everything and moving, they have it. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I think that played into it. I don't think it was as much of what the campaign, stated with protesters and media. I don't think it
Yeah,
was
that
that much fact. I
No,
just
it
think
wasn't.
I just think maybe there was a little bit of being overzealous, but going to the other issue when we talk about the Greenwood community that was massacred in 1921,
For sure.
where we're almost 100 years due, and then
Speak
the
on it.
plans to have it on June 19th, which we know is Juneteenth, celebrating when the people of Galveston, Texas, got the message of being emancipated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the one thing I felt was disingenuous was because you have so many celebrations in this nation around emancipation, around Juneteenth that spread through Texas, Oklahoma, and stuff. I
Right.
thought it was kind of disingenuous when the president tried to say he made it famous. You may have
Uh,
made it famous to a certain demographic, but those of us that do research in history, is it mainstream talked about like it should be? Maybe not. But I know plenty of people for years that have known this, that have gone to celebrations and done things around Juneteenth. So it's not popular. It may have been become more of a sentimental community type thing in the recent years, more so than what we may celebrate on a national level. So I won't give credit for that to the president, but I do think with all this centered around, I think he made it more relevant to certain demographics that probably didn't have
right.
any clue about it,
I agree with that.
who support
And
him. So
I agree
hey,
with that.
I'll give him kudos for that.
I agree with that. But that demographic is in his household because I don't think anybody with the last name Trump knew what Juneteenth was. And now he's like, everybody knows, folks. Everybody knows now. Like, you mean everybody in your house? Because even some of the some novice um, Anglo-Saxon Americans are familiar with June 19th being the day that the slaves were freed. It's not a recognized holiday, which it should be for the independence of black people in this country. But it's still something that's widely recognized. And he caught the backlash for a reason. Like, you didn't make it famous because you caught the backlash. You caught the backlash because people were asking themselves, how is this dude that stupid? So it's like, hold on, he can't be that dumb, is he? Or is he? Or is this, again, as I call him, an idiot savant? Because that is the only thing that makes Donald Trump smart, is he does things that a savant would do by accident. And that's what an idiot savant is. So I I don't know what he was doing. I don't know why he did it. I just know that it was. I'm pretty sure someone in his administration or someone on his campaign said, you know what? If you want to bring some racial, civil unrest to a halt, then you should go to Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 19th with a clear message of unifying the country. Then that would have been widely accepted. And you know who could have gotten away with that? Barack Obama. Or Bill Clinton. Or, quite honestly, anybody with a clear message of unification and solidarity. But we didn't get that. And that's what the problem is, Donald Trump. And again, before we move on to our next topic, if you vote for him again this time, after this mess, matter of fact, let me go into that real quick, Free, because let's talk about that for a second. Because here is here is
Back is getting
but so
started.
so
Let me put out a waiver. The views expressed by the
no
individuals
no
on
no
this show.
no this is a quote. I am
Yeah. Oh.
I am not in the business of just saying things to say them. This is, unfortunately, an interview Donald Trump, and I'm going to read the transcript. You have to understand, Donald Trump was on his favorite show of all the world, Fox News, and he was being interviewed by Sean Hannity. And I'm going to read this I want to make sure everybody understands where I'm going with this. I'm going to read this so you can get the full context and you can understand not only the question, but the answer. So here it goes. Sean Hannity asks a question. If you hear in 131 days from now, at some point in the night or early morning, we can now project Donald J. Trump as been reelected the 45th president of the United States, let's talk. What's at stake in this election as you compare and contrast? And what are your top priority items for a second term? Donald Trump's response is this. Well, one of the things that will be really great, the word experience is still good. I always say talent is more important than experience. I've always said that. But the word experience is a very important word. It's a very important meaning. I never did this before. I never slept over in Washington. I was in Washington, I think, 17 times. All of a sudden, I'm the president of the United States. You know the story. I'm riding down Pennsylvania Avenue with our First Lady, and I say, this is great. But I don't know very many people in Washington. It wasn't my thing. I was from Manhattan, from New York. Now I know everybody. And I have great people in the administration. You make some mistakes. Like, an idiot like Bolton, and all he wanted to do was drop bombs on everybody. You don't have to drop bombs on everybody. You don't have to kill people. So to people who are listening to this show right now, who are advocating for the re-election of Donald Trump, and you read his answer to the question, what are your top priority items for a second term? We're not going to call you dumb on this show. We don't do that here. But we will call you intellectually impaired. So, let's move on.
No comment.
let's just move on from there. So, there's another farce illusion going on in our communities, which is black on black crime. So, what we've seen is a lot of the media placing black on black crime on people. And it's a term that's been coined by the media, by white folk in politics, by white folk in business, plenty of people on the news, but also by black folk in the community, black people in media, black people on the news. This is a term that's been deemed and assigned to the black community. Now, we're bringing this up today because you don't hear any other type of crime like white on white crime or Hispanic on Hispanic crime or brown on brown or Asian on Asian. You don't hear that because there's no such thing as black on black, white on white, brown on brown, or Asian on Asian. There is no such thing. They're just called intraracial crimes. So when you begin to look through the databases, most of them are, state, local government stuff, or I can't remember the name of the source, but it's where they store the data for our crimes, where you would get your crime data, and I think it may be the FBI's website. I'm not 100% sure, but what you see is chilling because there's a higher number of white people that go to prison for violent crimes by far, for sure. It's not even close. But it's because those people there's more of them in the country, which makes all the sense in the world to me. When you go per capita, then you see the interracial crimes amongst black people being a little bit higher because it's a smaller pool of them in the country. The reason we're bringing this up is to say this. There's a narrative that's been placed with black people and black on black crime to make the issue sound worse than what it is. The numbers, however, don't lie. because amongst the percentages of interracial